Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. I want to welcome you here today. We're excited about another week here. Boy, Mother Nature still has not been good to us. You know, there's been a lot of damp weather, and some of these teams have literally had a couple of weeks off, and that has been boys and girls tennis. That's right, because of the way that the courts have been so wet and the safety of the kids trying to be able to play on that surface has not been very good this year. We'll talk about some of the matches that were able to get played this past week. We also have plenty to talk about and a couple of great milestones that happened too. Want to thank our underwriters here today, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston. Also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, by Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by our friend Sean Hubert and our friends at Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant on Avenue A in Turners Falls. I also want to say a big thank you to our co-producers here today, Philippe Simone and John Meisner. Thank you, gentlemen, for getting everything all set for us here today. Sitting here at GCTV right here at our studios in Greenfield. We're also on the FCAT down in South Deerfield, and we're at MCTV in Turners Falls. Let's get started with another edition of the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Well, last week it turned out to be a pretty fun day for a girl by the name of Victoria Moran. She ended up winning 4 events as Greenfield High School beat Turners Falls in girls track and field. They end up winning that one 89-54. She ended up having a wonderful day. For Turners Falls, the one who had the big day for them was Dabney Rollins. She ended up having a nice day with 3 victories for her team, including the discus, the javelin, and the triple jump. And a big congratulations goes out to those girls to be able to have great matches this past week. You know, Mohawk ended up doing very well. They ended up beating Athol 91-54. How about this? Mohawk won 8 of the 10 running events, and they cruised to victory last Tuesday. Mohawk ended up picking up 2 wins from Lily Wickland-Shearer as she swept the 100 and the 400 hurdles. Also, Caitlin Upton, she ended up doing well in the 2-mile. Megan Davis won the 1-mile. Grace Poplowski ends up winning the 800. And I can also tell you that Serena Bardwell won the 100 as well. In the field, it was Bailey Cuzno claiming the high jump. Also, Aaron LaFond ended up topping the pole vault. So a nice win for Mohawk as they continue their winning ways on the season, and they pick up their win against Athol. In boys track and field, it was Marhar beating Pioneer. Final score was 88-55. The guy who's been able to get it done for Pioneer over the last couple of seasons continued his winning ways. That is senior Scott McDonough. He ended up having a wonderful day with the long jump. He won the triple jump. He is just one of the best in this area. He also won the 100-yard dash. Now, Wyatt Keith, he ended up with 3 runner-up finishes for the Panthers. He was second in the javelin, the 100-yard dash, and the 200. So Pioneer gets beat, but 2 really nice performances from Wyatt Keith and Scott McDonough. Well, last week it was girls tennis. Turners Falls knocked off Palmer 3-2. Izzy Farrick ended up winning at the 2 singles. Big help for her to be able to get that win that they needed. She won 7-5, 6-2. Also, it was Steph Peterson. She ended up snagging a singles victory as the 3rd singles winner at 6-4, 6-1. We can also tell you that the doubles matches worked out to be a big help as the team of Mercedes Bailey and Emily Dennison captured the 6-4, 6-2 win as Turners beat Palmer in girls tennis. Well, in boys, it was a nice win for them. They end up knocking off St. Mary's 5-0. You know, it's been a while since this team has been able to play. How about this? They haven't played tennis in 20 days as of last week. So these kids have not had an opportunity to get out and be able to play due to the rain and the weather conditions that we've had. Because even though the weather conditions might have been nice on some days, they still had a lot of moisture and a lot of problems over at the court at Greenfield's tennis courts on Davis Street. So they ended up winning, though, 5-0 over St. Mary's. So it's nice to see the girls have the opportunity to be able to pull off that victory. Also, I could say that the Pioneer Valley Christian School ended up being Mohawk in girls. Final score was 4-1. But I want to say that 8th grader, Paige King, ended up dominating. She ended up winning 6-1, 6-1. And she got very excited because as an 8th grader, she picked up a very important victory in her high school career. Well, in girls softball, it was Pioneer. They took on Marhar. Final score was 5-3. Skeff Scoville ended up dealing the circle. She had a really nice day. She had some clutch hits, too, to really help out her team. So it's nice when you're the pitcher and you can also help out your team with some offense as well. How about this? She struck out 15 over 7 innings and allowed just 1 hit in the win over Marhar. So a nice job done by Steph Scoville. Well, it was the Mohawk girls with a win over Drury. Check this game out. 19-16, 36 hits, 35 runs. Put it together, and if you're a Greenfield graduate like me, it equals 71. Whoa! Between what we like to call runs and hits. Wow, that is a lengthy softball game. Let me tell you, that must have took a while to be able to get through that one. 19-16 with 36 hits and 35 runs. Wow. Well, we can say that the Warriors were paced with 4 hits from Maya LaShore, also Ashley Reynolds and Reagan Dupree. Also Grace Ward, she ended up with 4 RBIs on the day, and she had 3 hits. Isis Moon ended up with a double, and she tripled as well with 5 RBIs. And Morgan Ruscio ended up with a single and drove in a pair of runs in the victory. In boys tennis, it was Turner's Falls with a big win over Cy Tech, and they are on a roll right now, undefeated on the season. They win big, 5-0. I can tell you that the big guys who've been able to get it done are Brian Poirier, Will Turn, and Brody Trott. They're your singles guys. And then we have our doubles teams of Joe Koshin and Josh Gollin. Also, we have the team of Mike Boyle and Corin Wisniewski. So a nice job, the boys tennis team at Turner's, starting off very well this season. Well, the Frontier offense turned out to be pretty good as the ladies ended up winning a nice softball game over Athol. Final score was 10-3. Frontier's Lily Spencer, she ended up leading the Hawks with 3 hits, including 2 doubles and 4 RBIs on the day. You know, according to their coach, she said, you know, she's really done he really said that she's done wonderful things for the team this year. And Coach Dean has been very proud of what Lily has been able to do. Lily says, you know, we work really hard on our mental game as a team. My mental game has been really great, and it's kind of working for me. 8 different players from Frontier each had a hit in that win. Gary Dean says, yes, it's awesome. It's always nice when you have a group of kids who are all buying in to what we are doing. And I'll tell you, they got a good little team down there. Those Frontier Lady Redhawks are a lot of fun to watch. I had a chance to be able to see them last week. Well, if you look at further down the lineup, you had a freshman in there. Yes, Michaela Santos. Now, she had the best game of her varsity player career with 2 singles. That's right, a triple and 2 RBIs. So a nice day for her in that victory over Athol. You know, she said that she's definitely made contact and she's really starting to improve her game. She also said that she practices a lot and works on her swing. And even Coach said that she's doing a great job too. Spencer even chimed in and said every time that she makes a play, it makes me very happy because she is one of the younger players on this team. Well, Olivia Dean ended up picking up the win inside of the circle. Yep, she pitched 6 innings. She also had a strikeout and 6 walks. Dean did force Athol into a lot of grounders in this one. So it turned out to be a nice opportunity for her to capitalize on those with the defense of her team. Maddie Fifield also had an RBI double in the top of the 5th inning to add to the scoring. So a nice job by the Lady Hawks. They end up winning that game against Athol. Well, the boys Hawk baseball team, well, hey, look at them. They're on a roll this year. They have been playing some great baseball, and they continued their strong start last week with an 8-1 win over Mahar. They are just a very talented team. The guy on the hill for them, well, Gabe Kaczynski. He got the start on the mound, and he just allowed 4 hits while striking out 5. He did 5 innings of work in this one, and then there was some extra relief that ended up being helped by Xavier Santiago, the X-Man, who was definitely the X factor in being able to close out the victory. So a very nice start for those teams that we just mentioned last week. Well, another layoff wasn't a problem for the Frontier girls tennis team, as they were eager to be able to play after a 12-day layoff. Those girls ended up winning. It was nice to see them be able to rebound and pick up the 4-1 win over Chicopee Comp. So a nice win for them. And they also ended up beating Turner's Falls. Well, in the game they played against Turner's Falls here, the final score was 4-1 as well. You know, after that bit of a layoff, their first-year coach, Jim Fitzgerald, says that they were very anxious to get back, and the energy was a little bit high, and the kids were a little bit more pumped and excited when they were able to get back on the court. Matter of fact, Tori Speth ended up winning big over Haley Green at the #1 singles. Final was 6-1, 6-0. Also, teammate Mary Lawrence picked up a 6-1, 6-2 win over Izzy Farrick from Turner's. The only one that was a snag was for Turner's was in third singles that is, with Steph Peterson picking up the 6-2, 6-2 victory over Kaylee Aucoin. So there you have it. The Red Hawks end up picking up the victory, and yes, Turner's Falls does get beat in this one. Well, in boys tennis, it was Greenfield with a win over St. Mary's. Final score was 4-1. Nice win for them last week. They ended up doing well with that win on Wednesday. Also, Turner's Falls continued their winning ways as they end up winning 5-0 over the Pioneer Valley Christian School last Wednesday. Powertown has just been hot, man, when it comes to their boys tennis program. Brian Poirier ends up picking up the win. No problem. Of course, Will Turn, Brody Trott, and those 2 doubles teams of Boyle and Koshin, as well as Wisniewski and Keefe, ended up continuing their winning ways. Well, it turned out to be a pretty big softball game for Turner's Falls as the Lady Thunder end up taking on St. Peter Marion. And they end up winning this one 10-0. By the way, St. Peter Marion is a Division I school. And this particular program at Turner's Falls, they're Division III. And they end up winning a shutout 10-0 against a very good softball team. Well, that's because they have a very good pitcher in Jade Tyler. Jade Tyler has just done amazing. But you know what else helped in this one? How about saying that every player in the lineup had at least 1 hit for the Thunder in that victory over that Division I team? That's right, according to their coach. Coach Mullen says, hey, we took advantage of some mistakes. We also had some timely hits. That is what makes the big difference. Yes, how about 15 hits on the day? 2 hits from Jade Tyler, Allie Murphy, also Katie Reynolds, Juliana Rode, and Cassidy Wozniak. Lexi Lacey ends up with 3 hits on the day. And Tyler recorded a pair of RBIs as well. She struck out 8, didn't walk a batter in 7 scoreless innings in the circle, but she did give up 7 hits, but they were only 4 singles. And it didn't do any damage because the Thunder win 10-0. Well, in boys baseball, it was Greenfield with a win over Mahar, a very tight game in this one, but it was enough because in the 5th inning, David Carey scored on a wild pitch, and that sort of helped Greenfield out as they ended up picking up the 9-7 victory. Owen Phelps, he went all 7 innings for Greenfield, striking out 7. He did walk 3 to earn the victory. The thing that was a big problem in this one was errors, and Coach Shusik was not happy with the way that his team played defensively. He said that doesn't help the situation when you end up scoring 9 runs, but you let the other team score 7 because of your errors. That gives them an easier opportunity to steal a win, and that's exactly what Mahar almost did. David Carey, Jared Hart, Ryan Cody, they led the offense with 2 hits apiece in that victory for Greenfield. Well, Hopkins Academy, they ended up beating Mohawk, and it was a nice comeback for Mohawk. They were down in this one 6-1. They ended up scoring 4 runs to try to get back into it, but it wasn't enough down in Hadley, and they get beat. Reuben Bassett and also Anthony Moffat had a couple of hits for the Warriors. They're not starting off the year so good. They're now, as of last week, 0-6, and it was a tough one for them. Grenier took the loss on the mound. He ended up tossing 4+ innings, struck out 5. Also, he walked 4. Jared Jacobs finished things up for Mohawk. Once again, they end up getting beat by Hopkins Academy 6-5. Well, the Frontier boys keep racking up those shutouts, and that's exactly what they did against East Hampton last week. Back on Wednesday, they were at it again. How about when Dylan Aspinall ended up striking out 8 batters in 6 dominant innings, and Dylan Poland ended up doing what he does in relief, and it was a convincing 7-0 win over East Hampton for the Red Hawks. We could say that the pitcher helped himself plenty in this one. That's right, because Aspinall ended up with a double, a triple, and 2 RBIs. Brian Bauman and Connor Wakis also had a pair of hits apiece. Wakis even had a nice triple and drove in 3 runs. Karen Freeman, their first baseman, also had a hit and an RBI. Aspinall just let up 1 hit in 6 innings. Yes, they are really off to a very good start. Frontier is definitely one of the legit teams here in Western Mass. Well, it was Pioneer with an easy win over South Hadley, but there was a lot of good things that happened in this game. How about the fact that Jared Hubbard ended up having a big outing as Pioneer got their biggest win of the year? Matter of fact, Hubbard was 4 for 4 with 5 RBIs, 2 runs scored. That was out of the 6th spot, believe it or not. Yes, they rolled out to an easy win, 15-0. Also, guys who did well in this one to help out the team, Jason Quinn, Jacob Quinn, Ryan Potter, also Cam Dresser, also Dylan Fisher. They all drove in runs and had hits in this one for the Panthers. Nate Musso, well, he went all 5 innings, striking out 4, not issuing a walk. He did let up 6 hits, but no damage was done in this one in the shutout. So Pioneer picks up the 15-0 win over South Hadley. Want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. We get together here each and every week here on GCTV, also on the FCAT down in South Deerfield, and we get together on MCTV in Turners Falls. Want to say a big thank you to our underwriters here today, the 4 Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, by our friends over at Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls, and by our friend Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Yes, our producers here today are Philippe Simone and John Meisner. Well, as we continue on and moving through a really wet week, we got to Thursday. Well, let me just tell you, turned out to be a little bit of a weird week for baseball for this busy Frontier Redhawks team because they had to go and play Athol. And an Athol team that honestly is pretty good. And they beat them up. Final score was 7-2. Matt Hildreth took the mound. He did a nice job in this one. They had a rain out. Then they had to continue it a couple days later. So this is one of those games where it started. The kids all went home. They came back, started back where it was at, and had to finish it. Those are so boring because it's also a disappointment for the fact that it's a 7-inning game. So if you've already put in 3 innings and then you got to come back for 4, you're taking 2 road trips. You're trying to get your team up for 2 different games that really only count as a record of 1. And in the end, you hope that your team's going to be able to benefit from some of this. Well, the ones who benefited from it the most were the boys from South Deerfield as they picked up the win. Keenan Freeman ended up with a couple of hits. Brian Bauman picked up a hit. Also, DeForest and Kalen Evans each had hits as well for the Red Hawks. So a very nice win for them over Athol. Well, last week, Liam Higgins drove in Thea Hanscom. And yes, it was a big go-ahead run that really mattered. And what I mean by that is Hopkins Academy end up picking up a big win against Greenfield. You know, you talked to Coach Schustek. He was not happy in this one. Matter of fact, he said, you know, we got to start finding ways to score runs and make contact. Well, they just had a game where they ended up scoring a lot of runs. And, you know, the inconsistency is what's going to get you in trouble. This Greenfield baseball team last year, I'm going to give you a little example here. Last year, they ended up having 6 games decided by 1 run in the season. And 5 of those were to their disadvantage. So you play 6 games that are 1-run games, 5 of them cost you an L. And I'll tell you, that's what cannot happen this year if Greenfield wants to go far in the playoffs. Looking forward to being able to talk about the big game that they're going to have this week with Frontier. That should be a good one. That's going to really tell the tale of where Greenfield is. Last year, Greenfield had a chance to play the Red Hawks in a game of the playoffs. Game was played down at Frontier. Greenfield had that game. They were up by a couple of runs, but then the Red Hawks ended up coming back and scored 3 runs in the final 2 innings and escaped with a victory to continue in the playoffs and knock Greenfield out. And that was a semifinal game that they ended up playing in Division III. So, here's where we stand. They get beat. A tough loss for them against a team that seems to be stealing a lot of wins after losing their best pitcher in Hopkins Academy. Matter of fact, Hopkins Academy with John Morrison last year, they did really well. He ended up getting a full boat scholarship to the University of Rhode Island, where he is one of their starting pitchers as a freshman. And the new cast that has been able to take over the pitching duties for this team are now sitting right now at 5-2 on the season. Nice job for Hopkins Academy. Well, turned out to be a little bit of a tough day for some folks, but some kids did well. How about Hunter Campbell and David Carey with 2 hits apiece? Also, Nate Hazelton and Anthony Hurd each drove in a run. Joe Peabody struggling this year. Some guy that we were really thinking a lot about, thinking he was going to be their top guy. He has really struggled this year. Owen Phelps has turned into their number 1 pitcher, where a lot of us thought it would be Joel Peabody. Well, he ended up going 5.5 innings on the mound. He struck out 9, walked 2. That's not a bad outing. But the problem is their team ended up losing another one. So Greenfield, as of last week, sitting at 4-3 as of Thursday. Well, Turners Falls, I'll tell you right now, this boys' baseball team, they're scary. What do I mean by scary? I mean that they take everything right to the end. How about a team that's winning? They're up easily, 10-2. They let South Hadley score 7 runs. They barely win. Final score for Powertown, 10-9. That's right, 10-9, baby. They are really cutting things close. The Turners Falls baseball team has had a 1-run game for the 4th consecutive time this season. And you know what? It hasn't always been to their advantage. The Thunder built up that big lead. They ended up giving up those 7 unanswered runs, including 3 that were happening in the bottom of the 7th inning. How about their 8th grader that they have over at Turners Falls? Caden Latamaki. He is a very good ball player. This kid is going to be the future player of this Turners team. He has a lot of talent. He's big, and he has a lot of power, too. That's right. Latamaki as well as Jake Dodge, 2 young players on this team, ended up with 2 hits apiece for the Thunder. Latamaki drove in 3 runs. Also, Kyle Dodge drove in a pair. Jack Patala ended up earning the win on the mound. He struck out 2 in 2 innings of relief work. 4 pitchers combined to strike out 5 during the 7 innings of play, where Turners just barely got by South Hadley. Well, Pioneer picked up a big win over Smith Academy. Yes, it's been a wild season for Pioneer. It's been sort of like a roller coaster ride. They got the ups and they got the downs. And they probably get some of those little butterflies that go in the stomach, too, on some of these games as well. But they end up picking up that victory 6-5 over Smith Academy. Jared Hubbard, what a great player he is. He gets the win in relief, struck out one, also walked one in 4 innings. He faced only 12 batters, allowing 1 hit and 1 walk, but picked off a runner too, which ended up being a big opportunity because it took one of the players of Smith Academy off the base pass to maybe score that tying run. Jacob Quinn, well, he struck out 3 and did not walk a batter in a no decision. So once again, a nice win for Pioneer over Smith Academy last week. That game was played on Thursday. Well, the Franklin County Tech School, they took on McCann Tech. They ended up getting beaten that one. The final score was 4-1. Max Lay ended up with a double for the Franklin County Tech. Also, Nate Pelletier, he had a hit. What about Sim Manietti? He ended up driving in a nice run in the loss. We want to let you know that Max Lay did suffer the loss. He struck out 2 and walked 6 over 3 innings. Garrett Cole pitched 3 innings of scoreless relief, striking out 2 and walking 2. So a tough loss for the Tech School against McCann Tech back on Thursday. Well, on Thursday, it was Mohawk, the Mohawk girls, with a win over Pioneer, a very good softball game. Final score was 6-5. Caitlin Johnston, she had a nice single that drove in Maya LaSure with the game-winning run in the bottom of the 7th inning. It was a walk-off, and the final score, once again, was 6-5 back in Buckland on Thursday afternoon. Johnston paced the Warriors with 3 hits and 2 RBIs. LaSure and Lola Bloomer ended up with 2 hits apiece. Bloomer, also Morgan Ruscio and Isis Moon each drove in runs in the win. Steph Scoville, well, she had one of the best games of any local player this season. Offensively, how about this? 3 for 4, double, triple, and a home run, all in one game, and her team gets beat. That's right, she drove in 4 runs for Pioneer. They only scored 5. Also, Charlotte Collar, as well as Annika Johnson, well, they each had 2 hits apiece to help out the Panthers. It was too bad because they ended up out-hitting this Mohawk team, 11-9, but still got beat. Well, LaSure ended up picking up the win. She struck out 2, not walking a batter in a complete game performance. So it turned out to be a very good game for Maya LaSure, especially when she was able to score that winning run off that hit by Caitlin Johnson. All right, Greenfield and Athol. Olivia Joy. Well, she looked like her old self back on Thursday as Greenfield beat Athol. Final score was 4-0. Greenfield off to a pretty good start here. They ended up losing earlier this year to Hampshire Regional to an 8th grader who has been pitching BBs down there in West Hampton. And yes, they end up getting a nice victory. That game was played at Vets Field in Greenfield. Olivia Joy struck out 8. She walked 1. By the way, that 1 walk was an intentional walk. So really, you count that as a way to be able to, get to somebody else to try to get out of an inning or a jam, because she did allow 5 hits in this one. Matter of fact, her coach, Ryan Lovett, says, quote, "She started to look like herself again. She really has worked hard this week on her hitting. She's worked really hard on being able to hit her spots when she's pitching. She's been working on a couple of her pitches that she hasn't had a chance to been working on because of the weather situations. But you know what? She's back to being what she was last season." Raquel Provost ended up with a couple of hits. Sam Smith ended up with a double. Also, Kelsey Richardson. She is only a freshman, folks. She ended up with a single and an RBI. Audrey Brusciano ended up with a single, and she also scored a run, too. On Sam Smith, she hit a home run as well in this one. You really think about how good Sam Smith is. Well, Lovett says it the best. She comes up when we need her to. She sure did. Finished the 2 hits and 3 RBIs. Nice job by the one and only Samantha Smith, a truly great athlete here in our area. Well, on Thursday, it was a game that I had a chance to be at. It was fun to be able to be down there, to be able to announce this game between the Turners Falls Thunder and the ladies of the Red Hawks of Frontier. Turned out to be a pretty good game. At one time, it was 4-4. But things started to really heat up offensively for the Thunder, and things just started to get out of control for this Red Hawks team. Jade Tyler, she had a monster game for Turners Falls in that 17-6 victory down in South Deerfield. Started on the mound, she pitched all 7 innings, struck out 9. She only walked 1 batter, but what about this at the plate? She was 5 for 6. That's right, 5 for 6 on the day. She ended up just blasting a huge home run that sort of got things started for her team. Then she ends up with singles and doubles and just started doing everything she needed to do to help her team. You know, according to Coach Mullins, he said, quote, "She's a good, complete player. She's getting better. She threw a really good game yesterday against St. Peter Marion, and now she comes out today and also had a good game." You know, we really need her to be able to be where she is. She is a great player who can do great things, and she had a great game for us because it was all complete. It was about what she did on the mound, being in the circle, and what she was able to do at the plate. 5 for 6, that's a pretty good day for her. You know, Charlotte Doulette, we can't take nothing away from her from Frontier. She ended up having a great game, too. How about 4 for 4, including a beautiful home run that she ended up having on the day for the Red Hawks? You know, you look back and you say, well, they had a lot of runs. How did the hitting go for Turners Falls? Well, let's talk about that. Lexi Lacey picked up a nice hit. Also, Taylor Murphy ends up with 5 hits on the day. How about Jade Tyler? She was solid. We talk about Olivia Whittier with 3 hits. Haley Bogus with 2 hits. Katie Reynolds had a hit. Juliana Rode ends up with 3 hits. And Cassidy Wozniak with 2 hits. Also, we can say that Denkowitz and also Ring and Spencer ended up with nice hits for Frontier. We can say that Olivia Dean ended up being the losing pitcher. She ended up pitching 4 1/3 innings. She did walk 1 and strike out 5. Also, Macy Ring ends up pitching 1 2/3 innings with no walks and a walk. And then they ended up bringing in Hawkins as she pitched 1 inning, and she did walk 3. So a nice win for Turners Falls. They picked that victory up against Frontier. Well, Jenna Martin ended up winning 3 events on Thursday to lead Frontier. A nice win over West Springfield. Final score there was 80-65. Want you to know that Martin won the long jump. She also won the high jump and the 400 low hurdles. Frontier also had a nice day in the mile where 3 8th graders swept the event. Abigail Howard, yes, she ended up winning the event. Fiona House, 2nd place, and Sydney Scanlon ended up getting 3rd. Very nice job for Angelina England as well. She won the 2 mile for Frontier. A nice day for her. Ivy Shattuck ended up winning the discus. Also Riley Eisler, she ends up winning the javelin. Alina Mayes-Poland ended up winning the pole vault. In boys track, it was Mahar beating up on the Franklin County Tech. Final score in this one was 85-57. Ryan Duclos ended up picking up wins in the discus and the shot put. The Eagles had 2 more double winners as well with Dante Rosewarn. Yes, he crossed the finish line in both the 100 and the 200. Also, Zach Conway, he won the 110 hurdles and the 400 hurdles for the Tech School. In girls tennis, it was Frontier with a win over Mohawk. The final score was 4-1. You know, this was turning out to be a pretty nice win for this Frontier girls team. We can run down our winners in this one. Looks like the winner was Cassidy Bardwell. She ended up winning with her teammate Coleman Hartner. They ended up beating the team of Haley Randall and Maddie Lilly from Mohawk. Also, the number 2 team from Frontier, Isabel Brown and Aaron Sen, ended up winning against Holly Hicks and Sydney Suki. We want you to know that also the single wins were by, in this one, Mary Lawrence, she ended up winning at the number 2. And also Tori Speth ended up winning against Avery Dupree. And that is how that worked out. The lone win for Mohawk was when Sienna Lewis earned a win against Kaylee Aucoin. Well, Greenfield, they end up beating Turner's Falls. Another nice win for them. Greenfield's off to a very good start in girls tennis. They win this one 4-1. So nice job. I will say that they have a very good team. And Georgia ended up winning at number 1 singles. Also, we could tell you that another person who's been able to get it done, and she was really good last year too, is Tridestang. She is a really good talent. She ended up beating Steph Peterson. Also, we want you to know that there was quite a marathon between Izzy Farrick and Jenna Keith. Well, it was won by Izzy Farrick. She ended up picking up the lone win for Turner's Falls. The doubles team of Samaki and also Pruitt Dahl, they end up winning against Cece Wood and Maria LaBelle. Also, the team of Kovalenko and Cody ended up winning against Emily Dennison and Mercedes Bailey. In boys tennis, Turners continue their winning ways with a 4-1 win over Chicopee Comp. Oh, Brian Poirier, Will Turn, they cruise to victory once again. Those guys have been on fire. Well, we can say that the first doubles team of Joe Koshin and Josh Gollin, they ended up winning 6-4, 6-4. Also, Mike Boyle and Corin Wisniewski ended up winning 6-3, 7-5. The lone loss was a tough one where Brody Trott got beat 1-6, 6-4, 10-4 in the super tiebreaker. So Turners, man, their boys team is off to a very good start. Want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. So glad you made it here today. And I got to tell you, I got a couple of clowns that sit in the back studio over there. Yeah, and they do some wild things. But let me tell you the one thing they do right. They got the camera in front of the right guy. That's right. That's all that matters. Yeah, amen, baby. Amen. Give me one. Also, we want to let you know that we have wonderful underwriters, too. Want to thank the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, by Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by our friends at Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turner's Falls. And yes, I'm Bobby C. You know, we're having so much fun being able to do what we've been able to do around here. And, you know, the other thing that's been nice, too, is that we're now on 3 TV stations. GCTV, we're down at the FCAT down in South Deerfield, and we're on Montague Community Television, MCTV, in Turner's Falls. Well, it's called Getting to Another Day. So let's do it. Let's get into another day. And the day is the day that we are here is a Tuesday. So we're talking about Monday. Monday, the 29th of April. Juliana Rode picks up her first varsity home run as a Turner's Falls Thunder player. Juliana Rode, baby. A milestone was hit for a young lady as she sparks her Turner's Falls team over Mahar. Final score was 7-0. You know, when they asked her, what did you think? How'd it go for you? You know what she said? She said it was good. It assured my team that we could rally and start hitting like I know we can. We kind of just had a good thing that happened. It was a nice pitch. She took it. She swung through, and it was out of here. Nice job by a wonderful young lady. I love her to death, Juliana Rode. You know, according to Coach Mullins, he said that he has really seen the potential power that she has had this year. I've been looking for a home run for her this year, And she got it. It's because of her really good swing. She really is going to get a lot more home runs in her career because of the way she swings the bat. She's rich when it comes to her good spin, says Tyler. She has a really good changeup, and that is why these kids are so good, man. You look at Jade Tyler, Juliana Rode, Lexi Lacey. You got Cassidy Wozniak, who ended up having an injury, and she's back and really doing amazing things. You got Taylor Murphy. You got her sister, Allie Murphy. You got Haley Bogus. Man, this Turner's Thunder girls team is so, so good. Let's run down who else did good things in that game against Mahar. How about Taylor Murphy with 2 hits, Allie Murphy with a hit, Jade Tyler with 2 hits. Also, Wozniak ended up with 2 hits. Olivia Whittier and, of course, Rode, they all had hits as well, including that first big dinger for Juliana. Congratulations goes out to her. Well, Olivia Dean shook off a first-inning run, but the sophomore got herself together, and they ended up beating Mohawk. Final score on this one was 5-1, as they ended up picking up the victory back on Monday the 29th. Dean struck out 3, walked just 1 in the complete game effort in the circle. Right now, the Redhawks looking good. They're 6-2 on the season, 3-1 in their division. She also added a pair of hits. She also had an RBI at the plate. She's really been able to get ahead of her hitters, which I think is the reason why she's been able to do so well. You know, we tell people all the time that what the consistency secret is to be consistent on throwing strikes and being able to stay ahead of hitters. If you can do that, you're going to be very successful at the mound. And how about this? Out of 72 pitches, 50 of those pitches from Olivia Dean yesterday were strikes. And they pick up the nice victory over Mohawk 5-1. You know, the other thing is that you look at how Mohawk's doing this year. They're not doing too bad. They're 5-3. I mean, they ended up taking the lead in the first inning when Reagan Dupree ended up driving in Ashley Reynolds to get them on the board. But that was all they got as things really sort of settled down from there. But nice hits that were done by Dean, having the day that she had. Macy Ring ended up with a 2-run homer right over the fence in left field. So congratulations goes out to her on a very nice hit. Turned out to be a big one to help her team. Lily Spencer, 3 for 3 with a double in the win for Frontier. And I will say that they ended up out-hitting the team from Mohawk 8-5. Dupree ended up with 2 hits. Also Maya LaSure, Caitlin Johnston, and also Grace Ward each had singles. They'll meet again on May 15th. Greenfield girls, they continue their winning ways. They knock off Pioneer 9-1. Sam Smith is unbelievable. How about this? 2-run homer. Livia Joy strikes out 11 with no walks. Easy victory for them at Vets Field. They improved to 5-1 on the year, also 3-0 in league play, and they got things started early, and they just kept going from there. You know, and a big night tonight from Caitlin Lavoine, according to their coach. She said that it was nice to be able to see her have a big night for Greenfield. How about the freshman outfielder registering 3 hits, including a triple? Also, Smith, Audrey Brusciano, and Raquel Provost having 2 hits in this one. Smith, of course, had that 3-run homer. Also, Reagan Hickey and Kelsey Richardson each singled and drove in a run. They hit the ball very well, and Coach Lovett was very happy because they hit the ball hard. We've been working on hitting Caitlin. It was probably the best offensive performance that she's ever had. And it's nice to see her be able to hit the ball and see some of these young players come around. By the way, Steph Scoville, she ended up taking the loss. She struck out 5, walked 3. For the Panthers, they're now 2-4 on the season. But hey, let's hear it. One time, Caitlin Lavoine. Nice job, my dear. A fantastic game by her. Well, it was an easy win. Athol over the Franklin County Tech. Final score was 25-1. It turned out to be a pretty tough one for the Tech school. Abby Corey ended up going 4 innings in the circle for the Eagles. She struck out 5. Jocelyn Crowningshield scored a run for the Tech school. They're now 2-3 on the season. Well, the Greenfield boys needed a nice victory. They picked one up against Hampshire Regional. Final score was 6-0. And they didn't look ahead to this big game that they're going to be having this week, which we're going to be talking about next week when they take on this Frontier team that has just been really hot. That's right, big showdown between those two teams. But Greenfield took care of business, and they ended up doing it well to pick up the win in West Hampton. That's right, Owen Phelps struck out 6. He walked just 1 batter and scattered 5 hits. All were singles and a complete game shutout on the mound. Also, good defense, too. You know, Greenfield finished the game without an error. That is something that Coach Schusnick was very happy about. He wants to see this team get a complete game offensively and defensively. And he was able to get that in this one, where Greenfield now improves to 5-3. We also can tell you some other guys who did well. David Carey continued his torrid start of the season. He had 3 hits, including a double. Hunter Campbell had 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. Ryan Cody ended up with 2 hits and an RBI. Nate Hazelton and also Owen Phelps each had hits with RBIs. So, like I said, a big game this week between Greenfield and Frontier. Well, Marhar picked up a win against Smith Academy. Final score was 7-5. Pioneer ends up beating the Franklin County Tech in 6 innings. Final score was 17-2. Late surge of hits really did it for the Panthers, as they ended up doing very well in their victory. Matter of fact, according to the coach said it was nice to see a bunch of guys really start to step it up. And that's exactly what a coach looks for. They want to see progress. And the Tech school team really had a hard time being able to score runs. We can tell you that Jacob Quinn ended up having a big day. He stockpiled 5 hits, including a double, 5 RBIs, as well as 4 stolen bases, and 1 that was a straight steal at home early in the game. Yes, he stole home here, folks. Also, Pioneer stole 14 bases on the day, and Musso ended up with 2 hits, 2 RBIs. He was on the mound. Jack Loud ended up with 2 hits and 3 RBIs. Ryan Potter, he ended up singling and plated 2 runs. Troy Emond ended up with 2 hits and an RBI as well. Garrett Cole ended up with 3 hits for the Tech school. Nate Pelletier with 2 hits and an RBI. Nate Scandria and Max Charest, as well as Mike Patnode, each had 2 hits. Sim Manietti had a hit and an RBI. Well, Musso gave up a lot of hits, but he did pick up the victory. So a nice job by Pioneer with their win over the Tech, 17-2. Well, we can tell you right now that there was a couple of honors that were given out that ended up happening last week. And it was pretty cool because it really had to do with the basketball season. And it was the All-Western Mass team of players. And I wanted to run down the players from boys and girls who were honored in the 49th annual Mass Live Western Mass basketball ceremony that will be taking place on June 2nd. They do it over at the ballroom at Springfield's Tower Square Hotel. And they honor these kids for what they were able to achieve as all Western Mass athletes. Division IV, first team for boys basketball. Sophomore, Garrett Cole from the Franklin County Tech School. Senior, Garrett Cody from Pioneer. Second team, Division IV, local. Jackson Hicks, senior, from Mohawk. Also from Pioneer, Troy Emond and Tyler Lavin from Turner's Falls, a senior guard. For Division IV, honorable mention. For Pioneer, senior forward, Zach Fox. Division III, first team for boys, Karsten Carey, the senior center. The senior guard from Frontier, Kalen Evans. Second team for all Western Mass Division III, Peter Carey, Frontier. Also, Owen Phelps of Greenfield, the senior. Honorable mention, Division III in boys basketball. Alex Sharp, senior at Frontier. Owen Morse, sophomore at Frontier. And Mason Meadows, sophomore at Greenfield High School. So congratulations to our Western Mass players who were honored as all Western Mass, whether it was first team, second team, or honorable mention. The girls' side, honorable mention. And right through, we have everything here for you. Let's go with first team selections for Division IV. Olivia Rowe from Pioneer. She ends up as a winner. Also, second team selections in Division IV. Paige Loftman, the sophomore from Pioneer. Grace Poplowski, the sophomore from Mohawk. Dabney Rollins, the junior from Turner's Falls. Honorable mention in Division IV is Jocelyn Crowningshield from the Franklin County Tech. She's only a junior. Steph Scoville, the junior from Pioneer Valley Regional. Division III, all Western Mass. Division I players that made it are Reagan Hickey from Greenfield High School and Samantha Smith from Greenfield High School. So congratulations goes out to those ladies. So turned out to be a pretty special year in basketball. We ended up having teams that really shined. We had teams that were some surprises. And the nice thing is, all in end, it turned out to be a very good winter season. Well, there you have it, folks. We put another wrap on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do this every single week on GCTV, also MCTV in Turner's Falls, and the FCAT in South Deerfield. Once again, want to thank the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turner's Falls, and by Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Support these folks. They support these kids. Get out. Support your local athletes. And once again, a big thank you to Philippe Simone and John Meisner. So until we meet again, we say thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great week.